Welcome back to one of the Better Strava Plays YouTube channel. Today is Wednesday, December 18th, and I'm back breaking down some more college basketball plays for Wednesday night slate. Thursday nights. Wednesday night. What day is it? It's Tuesday, so this is Wednesday's video. I need to go to bed. We have Xavier going up against Connecticut. We also have Michigan going up against Oklahoma. That's going to be a top 25 matchup. 2 game picks, 2 player props. Let's take a look at the plays for tonight that we just watched tonight. We had 2 really good games to watch. Clemson, South Carolina going to overtime. South Carolina was dominating, I feel like, this entire game. Clemson was sticking around. Bank was open. What can I say for Chase Hunter? Bank was open, and Clemson forces overtime, but South Carolina continued to dominate in overtime. They did win that game by 3 points. So home team, home dog, one of the best betting trends in college basketball. We took it. Florida minus 3.5. They were up by 20 points at one time in this game in the first half. North Carolina came out in the second half, zooming, able to tie that one up, taking the lead with 8 minutes left in the game. But Florida, last 3 minutes, they closed it out. That's how you know you got a good team in Florida. The trees down low were pretty good. I think they did win the rebounding battle pretty easily. Felt like they got a lot of points from the inside, but they got a lot of points from the outside as well. Chase Hunter over 15.5 points. That one did cash. He had 4 points in the second half with like 10 minutes left, scored, 17 or 16 consecutive points for Clemson down the stretch there, it felt like. And then Elijah Martin over 3.5 assists. You could have got this at over 2.5. I got a bad line at 3.5. He had 4 in the game with 12 minutes left in the second half. Don't think he had another one, but it didn't matter. He already hit in the first 30 minutes of the game. So we had a 4-0 day. Haven't had one of those, it feels like, in a long time. So it was very nice to get the sweep. Let's try to do it again today. We have Xavier going up against Connecticut as the first play of the day. Connecticut is exactly who we think they are. They're exactly who I think they are. They're a great team. They've won championships. They've got a great head coach. They've got, great home court advantage. They've got great players, probably some of them playing in the NBA sooner rather than later. I think Dan is one of the best college basketball coaches right now. Obviously, he's won back-to-back titles. They're going to be competing for another championship this season. I would say this is maybe his worst team over the last 3 years, because if you've been watching Connecticut over the last couple of years, they've had better teams than this. But even with UConn being, not the best team that he has, they're still a very good team. They're going to be battling for the Big East Conference title. I think they will be able to win that. But Xavier is also a pretty good team. And Xavier has been slipping just a little bit over the last 5 games, but we're getting 11.5 points. I'm taking the 11.5 points. Home court advantage does a lot, but it's not 11.5 points good. And I think both these teams are pretty similar in talent. Zach Freemantle, Ryan Conwell, those guys have to have good days for Xavier to be competitive in this one, but I think they will have good days. Xavier, like I said, been struggling over the last couple of weeks. They have taken 3 losses over the last 5 games, but they have been battle-tested. They've played South Carolina, Michigan, Cincinnati in those losses, some pretty good teams on the season. It hasn't been anything that, UConn hasn't seen either. They've been playing some tough teams as well, battle-tested. I just think 11.5 is way too many. You can go look at the Huskies if you want. You can pick apart anything you want on that team. There's not a lot of weaknesses. I would say the biggest weakness on this team is the size. They're pretty poor at rebounding. But other than that, this is a team who's also battle-tested, played Memphis, Colorado, Dayton, Baylor, Texas, Gonzaga. Those are some pretty high-quality teams, and they're on this 3-game run of beating Baylor, top 15, Texas, not a top 25, but they're decent, and then Gonzaga, a top 10 team. So I think they will win this game. I just think Xavier's going to be competitive. They're kind of trending down. This line is very favorable for Xavier to take the points. Maybe I'm a rat here, but I'm going to take Xavier plus 11.5 as the first play. Second play, I don't think this game's going to be close. I put it on an 8-point game because I'm going to respect Oklahoma and their 10 wins, no losses on the season. But Oklahoma really hasn't played anybody all year long, and I think Michigan might be one of the better teams in the country. Dusty May coming over from FAU, he's done a great job with this Michigan team. Michigan was one of the worst teams last season in their conference. This season, they have a chance to win it all. And Michigan, like I said, last year, horrible. They're a top 25 team now. So this is just showing how well that Dusty did coming in, recruiting his guys, and how well he's been coaching so far. Oklahoma's hardly played anybody, and Michigan does have a few games against some top-tier opponents. Xavier, number 22 in the country at the time, beating them. Wisconsin, number 11 at the time, beating them. The only loss Michigan has on the season is Wake Forest, and somehow, some way, we had Wake Forest on the money line in that game very early in the season. The other loss was Arkansas. That's a bad loss. I don't think Arkansas is that good. I get it, though. Arkansas has a ton of talent. They lost that game by 2. They shouldn't have lost that game, but they are coming off of that loss. That was on December 10th. So they've had a week and 2 days to soak in that loss. 8 days off the court. They've been practicing their ass off, I'm sure, after that loss. So these kids are definitely going to be looking to get back out on the court and play some meaningful basketball. The leader for this Michigan team, I think, is going to be Danny Wolf the rest of the season. Yale transfer. He's a huge 7-foot center. He can make a shot anywhere on the court. For Oklahoma, the best team they've played this season is Arizona. Arizona's just up and down. They're not great. I think they're 24 at the time Oklahoma played them, but I think they're outside the top 25 now. They've not lost a game this season, and that's the only reason I'm giving them respect. You know, it's not easy to win every game. I don't care who you're playing. I mean, some of these teams are playing are horrible, but you still got to go out there and win games. One thing I think Oklahoma's going to struggle with in this game is rebounding. They only average 33 per game. Michigan's a very physical team. They should dominate the paint in this one. I'm going to take Michigan minus 2.5 as the play. Let's go to the best player props of the day. And for the first player prop, we are going to be sticking in that Michigan game. And we're going to go with the Yale transfer, Danny Wolf. He's going to score a bucket anywhere on the floor in this game that he wants. I'm going to grab the over total points, 10.5, maybe 11.5 as the play. Oklahoma on the season has been a pretty good defensive team according to the numbers. They're giving up 65.9 points per game. But if you take a look at the opponent's shooting percentage, 42.3%. That number is right in the middle of the pack, actually a little bit lower than the middle of the pack. So towards the negative side, it just doesn't seem like the numbers are adding up here. And I think just because they've been playing some pretty bad opponents and they're really good at forcing turnovers, so there's not a whole lot of possessions that some of these bad teams are getting, but I don't think that's going to affect Michigan too much. They're pretty good at taking care of the ball. Danny Wolf should be able to operate anywhere he wants on the floor in this one. Inside the paint, he's going to be a monster, but he's also been really good at taking some deep threes. Doesn't matter where. I think the corner's his best three-point shot, but we should see him primarily on the inside. He's a 7-footer, 250 pounds. He's a big-time scorer last season for Yale. This season, 12.3 points, 10 rebounds per game, shooting 55% of the season. I think he's a mismatch for this Oklahoma team. I'm going to take his over total points as the first play. And for the second play, we're going to be looking at Xavier going up against UConn. Going back to Ryan Conwell, a guy we've taken a couple times, only disappointed me one time this season. I'm going to go back to him in this game. Over 2.5, maybe over 3.5 made threes. I absolutely love the shot volume that we get from Ryan every single night. Ryan on the season, he's averaging the second most on this Xavier team, sitting with 16.5 points per game. He's shooting 44.2% from the field, but on the outside, behind the arc, he's shooting 44.8%. So he's better at taking threes than he is at taking twos. Doesn't usually work out that way, but for him it does. I do think his over total points is a pretty good look if you want to just take the over total points, but I'm going to go with his threes because he's been taking a lot this season. He's the only player for this Xavier team who's attempted at least 5+ 3-point attempts in every single game. He's actually only done that in every single game but one, and that one game was against Morgan State a couple games ago. They won that game by 60+. He just didn't play enough minutes. He went 2 for 2. Other than that game, he shot at 5+ threes in every single game. He's been able to make 4+ threes in 6 of the 11 games so far, and 3+ threes in every game but 2 this season. He's attempted 8+ 3-point attempts in 5 of the last 6 games. So he is really feeling himself from the outside. I'm going to take a shot on the over 3.5. He needs to play well for this Xavier team to be competitive with Kentucky. I think he finds the stroke from deep. UConn, they're a pretty good defensive team, but I do think the outside might be a little bit vulnerable, especially going up against Ryan Conwell. Give me his over total 3-pointers made as the final play of the day. Let's go to the recap graphic. We're going to be taking Xavier against the spread. They're plus 11.5. Michigan against the spread, minus 2.5. Ryan Conwell over 2.5, maybe 3.5 made threes as the play there. And then Danny Wolf probably going to be 10.5, maybe 11.5. I don't see it being any more than that. I think that's going to be the sweet spot for him all season long. But we're going to play 10.5 for right now as the final play of the day. Guys, it's going to do it for the NCAA basketball picks and props for Wednesday, December 18th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please share, drop a like on this video, and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.